Hey, good morning. Welcome to Integrative Preparedness. I'm Steve Smith. How are you all today? Welcome to all the new subscribers on YouTube and all of our new members and patrons over on Patreon. I'll say something about that in a minute. Today I want to talk about positive prepping and kind of what direction are you coming at your prepping from? Is it from fear? Is it reactive? Is it negative? Or is it positive because of something that you want to be, not something that you're afraid of? We're going to talk about that in a minute. Waiting here for Mark to come over. He's going to come over. We're gonna do a little work on one-man building clearing. I do give training in a number of things. I don't do it online, and although I do put some pointers over on Patreon, I don't believe in this format for really talking a lot about training. There's good and there's bad out there. I've trained a lot of people for a lot of years. I've been training people in combatives for 40 years, and it's just although I know people are interested in it, well, people are more than interested, they're consumed with it. I'm just not going to get in the mess. I see so much out there. Some of it's pretty good. Some of it is horrible, just horrible. And yet, people without experience don't have the experience to understand which is which. And it's just too much of a mess to even become involved in. Yes, I do teach privately, but probably nothing that any of you will ever, be around here for. And I don't say that, I mean, for anybody who is really, really serious about it, I enjoy teaching them, but I just don't do it as a main living anymore. So it's probably not anything that I'm going to offer through here. Just kind of a caveat there. I just wanted to mention. So Mark's coming over. We're going to do some drills on because he's in my, he's the main guy in my group. I train the people in my group. Simple as that. Anybody that I might have to depend on. And then we're going to go over to the range and we're going to pop off some of our bang bangs and probably shoot the 41 Magnum again and let him work a little bit on shooting revolvers. There's a lot difference, big difference between semi-autos and revolvers. I'm real partial to revolvers myself. And regardless of the increased capacity of the magazines, I'm not going to get into that here. That's for Patreon. I do occasionally put up stuff about that over on Patreon. Speaking of which, before we get to today's topic, I just put one up over on Patreon about what is my real name. I had a Stonemont level member, and over on Patreon there's two levels. There's an entry level, and then there's a Stonemont level. Cost you a few more bucks a month. And it gives you direct access to me. I've been kind of behind on it. I've been sick and I've been busy, as most of you know. And so I'm a little bit behind on getting back to people who have sent me messages. If you've sent me a message and I haven't gotten back to you, my apologies. It will be forthcoming now that I'm feeling better. I'm kind of loaded up over the next 2 days schedule-wise, but then I'll get back at it. But anyway, the Stonemont level over there kind of gives you direct access, and you ask me questions that I will answer. If I just get too much anymore to get back with everybody, and although I try to answer, or acknowledge the fact that I've read comments here, by giving it a heart or a thumbs up or something like that, and an occasional response if I feel that one is warranted, that over there allows me to have more of a relationship with people. So anyway, it was on the Stonemont level that I talked about what is my real name. And I don't know whether this was brought up, but I'm aware that there's another channel, pretty big channel. It's not a channel that I watch, that kind of had an uproar here in the last, what's it been, a couple of weeks or something like that, about using a fake name. He's not, well, whatever. Well, I don't use a fake name. but what's my real name? So anyway, that's over there for the Stonemont level people. Now to today's subject. Have you got all your nuts gathered? And if you don't know what I'm talking about, that's in reference to yesterday's video. If you haven't watched it, go back and watch it. But it has to do with your mindset. Your mindset when it comes to preparing. And I see far too many people running around preparing or whether they're actually preparing or not, I have no idea. I think a lot of them are not. I think a lot of them are just getting that dopamine rush that they're wrapped up in drama. You know how people love drama, So I think a lot of them probably aren't preparing. They just like being scared. And so they'll do this, and they might do, whatever. Either they'll complain, or they'll buy a bunch of stuff, or they'll worry, or they'll whatever, because they're reacting negatively to a perceived threat. Well, when I used to teach combatives more than I do now, I would explain that reacting negatively, actually reacting at all, is a big mistake, because you're allowing whatever the situation is, whether it's your attacker or the emergency, whatever, you're allowing them to dictate, to drive your actions. Now, reacting is different than responding. Responding is understanding a situation and going through that process of understanding. You can either do the OODA loop, or what I teach, which is in every situation, be it an attacker or an emergency, there are three opponents or three enemies, and that's confusion, fear, and then the attacker or situation. However you want to look at it, doesn't matter. But you go through that process, and by keeping a clear head and looking at it in a positive way, you respond to it. You respond appropriately. Now, your ability to respond appropriately and effectively comes from training and experience. A lot of people have training. Not nearly as many have experience. And as I've said before, experience is your real teacher. Training prepares you to learn from experience. And there's way too many people out there that think that they're ready for a situation simply because they've had training. Ask anybody who's gone into, whether it's military or police, you can be trained up to Yahoo, and all of a sudden when you meet up with your first real adversary, oh, wow, now the lessons begin, right? They really do. And too many people, or let me say it this way, too few people understand that. Well, anyway, that's the difference between reacting and responding. Reacting is a negative response to a stimulus, simply because you're not in the driver's seat. The other situation is. Responding is what you want. Now, when it comes to preparedness, you want to be in the driver's seat, right? You want to be in control of your actions. You want to be in control of what you do. You should sit down and, understanding those basic principles of preparedness, lay out your plan. Here's what I need to do. Okay, and this is so basic, I even hate to say it very, very much, but then I've had people say, your channel is a little advanced for a lot of people. And I don't mean it to be. I just perhaps make this assumption, this improper assumption, and I know the old world, the old thing about assume, that some of these things are just, so basic that everybody understands. But you understand, the food, water, shelter, defense, pretty much it. Proper clothing, all this kind of stuff. But so and you should sit down and determine and make your plan. Here's what I think I need. Okay. Now, there's a way to do that. You can do it, you do it in layers. Most people can't go out there and just from the very beginning say, okay, I need all this stuff, because most people don't have that kind of money, right? I need all this stuff in order to be fully prepared. Well, that's not the normal preparedness journey, is it? The normal preparedness journey for most of us, including me way back when, was little by little. Okay, I'm going to get this, and I'm going to get that, and then now you've got a bunch of this and some of that and all that, and then you see, okay, all right, I've got this, but it's really not fitting together as well as I would like it to. Okay, I see a hole here, I see a hole over here, I'm weak over here, I'm really strong there, but I'm weak over here. Now, how should I do that? And this is where thoughtful processing comes in. Okay, and here is where positive preparing comes in. By taking control of the process, by taking control of the planning and saying, here's where I am, here's where I need to be in order for me to feel confident and comfortable with, pretty much whatever comes down the road. And what do I suggest? Like I've always suggested in my books, prepare for an EMP, right? This is Stonemont series, my books available on Amazon. I always put the link right down there. You can get them in either paperback or you can get them in Kindle. You can get autographed copies from me, but I won't be able to get them to you for Christmas. So this is actually the master plan. This is everything in there that you would need to know about preparing for, surviving, and then rebuilding after a major catastrophe. So anyway, when you sit down and you say, here's where I am, here's where I need to be. Now, what are those steps? Okay, you have a beginning and you have a destination, a hopeful destination. Well, those are the two things you need first in order to set your path, right? You're going to take a trip, you look at a map, say, here I am, that's where I need to go. Looks like I need to go up this highway, around there, and all that. It's no different. Plan your preparedness. If you don't, you'll find yourself in the same boat that a lot of people have, and that is they're just all over the place. Bing, 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 like a pinball going all over the place, and never really having a set direction. But it's that understanding of beginning, desired destination, and then making a plan along the way. And by doing that, you take control of your preparedness plan so that you are actively in control. You're not reacting to anything. And when you do that, you take all the fear out of it. And that's really what you need, because as important as anything, and I'm going to start throwing this in more because I think a lot of people don't realize that I feel this is important. Your preparedness, I suggest that it always be directed by God. Mine has been. Many other people out there will tell you that theirs has been as well. Now, I don't know if everybody's has. Probably not. Probably not. There's probably a lot of people out there that's not where they're at. Where they are. I just ended that with a preposition, didn't I? But that's my suggestion. Preparedness is a biblical concept. It is necessary. It is foundational to a good life, a life of safety, a life of security. In a world that can be very, tenuous at times. So that's what I suggest. Stop being afraid. There's always going to be something. Like I said in yesterday's about gathering your nuts and the squirrels. You get up, read the news. There's always going to be something to be afraid of if you're predisposed to being afraid. Okay. There are always things that you want to know. For instance, we had that situation, the attack on that power station, the substation down there in North Carolina. Well, now they just came out in the news, and I wasn't aware of this, that there's been several attacks in mid-November up in Washington and Oregon. Now, I could go down that road quite a ways because I do have opinions on that. Maybe I'll get into that over on Patreon. But if you are looking for something to be afraid of and to drive you in a direction, you'll always be able to find it. But it's how you respond to that that's important. don't be the cow that can be herded by the dog. Just, wherever that dog's yapping, you're going to go in the other direction, right? Like to say that informed people, are not easily led or driven, right? Okay, but uninformed people can be, because they're always operating on the surface. Ooh, scary, scary, scary. Okay, don't. Positive preparedness is what you want. You want to be in control of your life. You want to be in control of your future, right? And it's the preparedness that joins those two, your present day life and your future, preparing along the way so that whatever that future is, you're going to be able to continue to be in control of your life. Make sense? Okay. All right. If you want to find out what my real name is, you can go over there to Patreon. I'd love to have you over on Patreon anyway. I mean, it's a great bunch of people, and it's not just what I say over there. It's a great community, very smart folks that bring a lot of information into the conversation that you'll be better for having learned. And just to give you another, and I always put the link down there on how to come to the Patreon page. And for those of you who haven't read the Stonemont series yet, I suggest you do. You'd like them. And the link on how to get them from Amazon is down there, as well as is the link of how to get autographed copies from me. Again, I won't be able to get them to you by Christmas, but however you'd like them, you can get them. So just keep that in mind. Don't react. Respond. Be in charge. Be in control of what you do. If you're in control, you shouldn't be afraid. Your preparedness should add to your life rather than your fear detracting from your life. That makes sense? Okay. Well, you all have a good day. I'm going to finish my coffee and wait for Mark to get here. And maybe I'll shoot something about something that we do. I don't know. If I do, it'll be over on Patreon. But you all have a good day. Remember that we prepare well today in order to live well tomorrow. And I'll probably talk to you tomorrow. Bye-bye.